destroy the earth. That's the sign I want to look at here. Shall destroy those who destroy the earth. We need to take a close look at that. These are signs, folks, that I'm sharing with you that are, as far as I'm concerned, universal. They affect everyone. They affect you. They affect people on the other side of the world. Throughout our listening audience, by television or by radio, no matter where you are, any place in the world, these signs affect you. Now, I know we live in a time when there's a lot being said about global warming and what's going on there, and I find people on both sides of the fence concerning global warming. These signs have nothing to do, in a sense, with global warming. These are signs that affect us today and will continue to affect you and me. One, world population. That definitely affects all of us. What's happening there? If you take the chart we've got here, if you start way back in the beginning and you just come down, and that bottom line is talking about years, okay? And the line that goes up, that's talking about the number of people, billions. And so if you take a look at it, it works like this. It took us 1,800 years to reach 1 billion people. Okay? 1,800 years to reach 1 billion people. Okay? Watch. This is what's happening, folks. This is what's happening now, today. That's what the population is doing. I mean, when we hit 1 billion and made that curve, it's gone straight up since then, right on up. Till today, we stand at 6,750,000 people. And it keeps going all the time, growing every day. What does that mean? That means that the population is exponentially growing like you and I don't even understand. Give you an idea. By the year 2050, that's basically 41 years away, the Earth's population will be 9.5 billion people. You understand what that means? That means in basically 40 years, you have a 50% increase in population. A 50% increase. Now, that may, you say, well, so what? Well, if you have more people, folks, you have more mouths to feed. That's just a simple fact of life. And this is what we're doing. This is what we're affected with. This reminds me of what Jesus said in Matthew 24, verse 22. He said, except those days be shortened, no flesh would be saved. And we're coming to that. I want to show you what that's doing to us. Land. Now, any way you want to look at it, folks, there's just only so much land. That's not something that we can grow. You can't grow land. It's there, and that's it. So what has happened to our land? Watch what's happening. I showed you the population. Population here. I showed you how it went just like that. The top line there has to do with pasture and farmland. That's where we get our food. That's what grows food for us. Okay? As you can look there, it was fine. Went along just fine. Nothing changed. Everything worked fine. Until we hit 1900. And then all of a sudden, it starts dropping. So by the time we hit 2009, those two lines cross. You understand what that means? When those lines cross, folks, that means There are places now that we cannot produce enough food for the population. That means famine. And that's where we are today. We're faced with that today because those lines have crossed. It makes tremendous amount of difference. The amount of land needed to feed an American and a Chinese. Okay? To feed an American, it takes 3 acres of land. To each one of you, it takes 3 acres of land to feed you. For a Chinese, it takes 1 acre. And by the way, China has used up almost all of their land, farmland and all. It's all being used today. America, yes, we still have land, but just remember, the old population is rising, and it takes 3 acres to feed you. Also, not only does it take 3 acres to feed you, but it takes another acre of land just to take care of you far as urban and highways and all. Do you realize that every year, listen to me, every year a piece of land the size of the state of Maine turns to concrete? Every year. That happens in this country. And so our land is little by little by little being used up. This is true all over the world. Now, face that however you want to look at it. Something has to happen. Something happens to take place. Water. You got more people. You have to have water for them to drink. You have to have water to sustain life. That's necessary. So where are we in that respect? Every individual uses about 4 quarts of water a day. That's drinking water, and that's water that's in your food and so forth. That's what we use, about 4 quarts. Notice 2,000 quarts. It takes 2,000 quarts of water every day just to care for you. I'm talking about it takes 2,000 quarts of water to grow the food and that type of thing that you eat. Each one of you use about 2,000 quarts of water every day. All over the world. So when we're looking at water, this is basically what happens. Of the water that's used throughout the world, about 70% of it is used in irrigation. That's the greatest use of water there is irrigation. Industry uses about 20%. Residents use about 10%. That is how the water is used. Now, what does that mean? Every American uses 500,000 gallons of water a year. Every American uses 500,000 gallons of water a year. So what is that doing to us when we talk about it? What's happening? I hope you can see this, and I hope you can visualize it, and I'll try to help you understand what's happening here. It's taken the world and just divided it up into 4 groups. And this represents how much how much water is being used in each one. And the dark blue, the very dark blue, is where the least amount of water is being used. The light blue, the people living there are usually using about 20% of the water that's available.